Let therefore abide in you, which ye have heard from the beginning. If that which ye have heard from the beginning shall remain in you, ye also shall continue in the Son and in the Father. And this is the promise that he had promised us, even eternal life. Be continued. This passage of scripture is letting us know that the Lord is telling us that if we contend in him, we keep on moving in him and we stay with Jesus, guess what, y'all? We got a promise that we will inherit eternal life. And we got to understand that we have a continuum. Our story is not over. Our story don't end. Oh, I got hooked on drugs. Okay, to be continued.
Yes, sir.
I had a baby out of wedlock. I had a baby at 13, 14. Okay, to be continued. I've been in jail for 12, 20 years. Okay, to be continued. You're not over because a bad situation happened. Oh, I got divorced. My girlfriend left me. My boyfriend left me. To be continued. I used to think that when the bad things happened to me, life was over. That was it. But I found out at the end, the story wasn't the end. It's to be continued. And God told me you're not in until you're at your end. You're not in on this earth until you're dead. I don't care if you got one more day left on this earth, to be continued. So you're not over. And that's what the enemy trying to end your story at 14, 15, 35, 60. Bible says your latter days will be better than your former days. You want to do more when you're older than you did when you were younger. I'm doing a lot more now than I did when I was younger. I have more. And sometimes we can get bogged down with the finance. We can get bogged down with the numbers, but we don't see the blessing. All we see is the 3 fishes and the 5 loaves, but we forgot that God fed 5,000 with that. And then God took in fragments. The fragment was more, 12 baskets full. At the end of the day, they had 12 baskets, and they only started out with a lunch box. And sometimes the enemy wants us to forget what God has done for us. One time when Jesus was in the ship, and they thought Jesus got mad because they didn't bring no money or no food. And Jesus turned around and said, "Don't you remember I fed the 5,000? Why are you worrying about that for?" We forget. But it's always a continue to our life. Your life ain't over because of a bad situation. The reason what the enemy wants you to read in your life, blank pages. You ever had a blank page moment? What do you mean blank page, Pastor? I had a lot. I'm still dealing with blank pages. What are you talking about? I don't know what's going to happen next. God ain't tell me how this is going to happen next year. God ain't tell me how. See, what certain things in your life, you got blank. God, how am I going to pay this bill? When this thing going to get better? When I'm going to get my new job? Some of it with God, when I'm going to get married? What am I supposed to be doing next? That's a blank page. And the enemy will give you and tell you when you look at a blank page, there's nothing to read. And sometimes we can't read God. Sometimes we don't know. And we want God to fill in and write the pages of our life. But if you ask God, He will. And here it is again. If God never write no extra in your page, something, and I always use, this is one secret. Have you read the pages he wrote before? Have you done in the pages what he asked you to do before? Because this is the secret of God. God won't write no more until you already done what he already written before. Bible said, finish your first work. So if you want the blanks to be filled in, or to be continued, I used to watch, like I tell people, I used to watch Batman at 3 or 4 years old. I swore Batman was going to die. Every week, Batman get in trouble. And they were like, I remember he used to come on and he'd be tied up. The Joker got him, Penguin got him. Will Batman survive this time? Oh, is that the narrator? Is that a peculiar situation? But we'll see you. He be still shaking. Same bat top and get ready to get cut up. Same bat channel. I'm like, oh my man, what's gonna happen? Batman gonna die. But somehow, Batman always get out. Then I smarten up. The Batman gonna get out. Batman had a utility belt, and anything he need, he pulled out his belt. We got a utility belt. Anything the devil throw at us, if we use God's word, we gonna escape. This not the end. The devil can't kill us. He said, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. So you might have, ladies, you might have some jokers in your life. Men, you might have some catwomen in your life. You might have some people, the Riddlers and all those people, you don't even know who they are. You got a lot of villains in your life. But if you wear your belt, gird up your loins in the Lord, take on to you the whole armor of God so you can withstand the wiles of the devil. The attempts to attack you of the devil if we put on the whole armor of God. So we can have to be continued. You know you're going to continue with people. That means the story has an end. You haven't stopped. There is more to your story. And even though we stop here, see what people don't understand, that there's going to be some intermissions in your life. The show's still going on, but we're going to take a break. And what happens is the devil we think we at the end and when we at a break. We at an intermission. And intermission might not be a second or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. What if your intermission is 15 years? 5 years? And God just don't put you on a shelf just to torment you. What if God have an intermission? Because see, here's two things. Usually when people have an intermission, one, for the audience, is to refresh themselves. To get something to drink. Because after a while, your mouth dry, you're getting all fit, you need to move, your back getting stiff, your leg gets stiff, you need to stretch because you've been sitting so long. So you need an intermission. And God might put an intermission in your life so you can refresh yourself. To stretch yourself. To get your mind back. To get your peace back. Sometimes you need to stop. Oh God, what to do next? No. Take an intermission. So you can be continued. So you don't run out of gas. So you don't get stressed out. So you don't stop. So you won't end your story. Now there's another reason why there's an intermission. So the people on stage performing can get prepared for the next reason. Sometimes God will stop you to prepare you. God sometimes will stop you to get ready to study, to go to school, to get your money right, to get your mind right. If God going to continue, sometimes we got to stop. God will give us an intermission to just get prepared for a blessing. So when we come back, they are refreshed and we ready for you. And God will use your life simultaneously in those ways. So we got to understand it's not over. And you might have interruptions. which is an intermissions. You might have setbacks, which is intermissions. All that come in your life. I had an intermission for 5 years. But with God, we got to understand time. 1,000 years is 1 day with God. So God's 5-minute break might be my 5-year break. Or my 5-year, or his 5-second break. But it took me 5 years. And God said, well, I'm going to give him a 2-second break. And we think 2 seconds, that's quick. In God's mind, it's 2 years, according to his timeline. But in that time, I'm getting refreshed. Because my story ain't over. I ain't broken down yet. Even though I had a setback, even though I had intermission, to be continued. And folk will write you off and say you done. And sometimes you will think you done. Don't think you're done yet. My teacher used to say in high school, I used to say I'm tired. Or we say we tired. He said you can rest when you die. You know what? I take that and I live by that. I ain't saying not take a break because rest is important. Take your break. Sometimes what we don't know how to do, when we're about to do something crazy, dumb, and stupid, we need to take an intermission. Before we say something out of our mouth that we may regret, we need to take an intermission. Because the enemy wants you to have the end. The end on a situation, the end on your marriage, the end on your job. When you get fired, lay off, the end. Now, let me say this. Very rarely when you get laid off or fired from a job, you get to come back. Very rarely. No matter how good you are, they don't want to pay you. But God said, you ain't over. If I known, let me say this, I thought my life was over. At one point in time, I thought my marriage was over, my money was over, everything was over. I put on my life the end. And God said, erase that from your mind and put on that to be continued. And you might have to be continued next week. But God had to give me some rest and get preparation in order to move. And see, sometimes you got to learn how to move. Don't ever think your life is over because somebody walked out of your life or you lost this money or certain bad situations. Don't ever think it's over. You got to be like the Wile E. Coyote and the Road Runner. Meet, you got to keep running. Dodge every track they get. You got to... Because you got to continue on. Let me say this. I'm going to continue. No matter what the devil do, I ain't over. Just because I got gray hair on my beard, I ain't over. Just because I ain't got everything I need, I ain't over. Just because I ain't got everything I want, I'm not over. To be continued. Because even though I don't know what happened over here, my future looks bright. My past look kind of sketchy. Little sketchy. Things happen. I don't even want to tell how people, I can't really tell people how I felt at that moment. You ever had something that was so bad that you thought ungodly thoughts and you did ungodly things? And you felt ungodly ways. So you got to understand something. That's what we gotta do. That's what we got to do. And so we got to keep moving and being focused on God, even though if we want to contend, even though we want to move past certain things. You got to stay focused. And don't let the enemy write your end of your story. I know some people who thought they was drunk. Some people who were high. Some people right now dealing with chemical abuse. And the devil said, your life is over. I thought my life was over at the club. I did. What more better than the club? What more better than partying? Have you ever had your heyday? Have anybody ever had a heyday with all? What do you mean by heyday? Heyday is with everything in your life just went right. Where you was the kingpin, top of the world, money flowing, jet flying like Ric Flair, limousine riding, son of a gun. Just life was just, wherever you go, everything was just clicking on all cylinders. And everybody, you were the man in your region. I had a small heyday. But then your heyday fizzled away. And then you think, it's over. It's over. I had it good, it's over. Life was great, it's over. I ain't gonna never get it back. The devil always will tell you it's the end of everything. Oh, you ain't gonna make it. You ain't gonna never had nobody. You ain't gonna never be nobody. The devil will start talking to you, and here's the trick of the enemy. When you start talking to you, it comes true. Satan has no power.